If I allow them to stab me another time, can I go into the woods then? All right, gang, we're going to take a peek at what's been going on with these forest fires in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. We're going to have Heather Herring and our man, he's one of my favorites, Brent Weinstein, explain a little deeper. Check out their YouTube channels. They're amazing. Let's go with this one. We've got something fun to watch.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
To the reckless and selfish, I am talking to you. A group gathering in a house, unnecessary trips outside, blatant disregard, the virus will find you. Then it finds your loved ones, and then it finds your neighborhoods, and then we have community spread. When all we have to do is stay the blazes home.
Oh, yeah. Deja vu all over again, gang. A Nova Scotian premier telling people to just stay at home. Something is raging out of control in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. Wildfires aside, the government is also out of control, overstepping their bounds perhaps. Let's take a closer look.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
And I get that people want to go for a hike or want to go for a walk in the woods with their dog, but how would you like to be stuck in the woods while there's a fire burning around you? I don't think anybody would want that either. So be smart, be human, don't look for loopholes. An out of control forest fire is a terrifying thing. So treat this situation with the seriousness that it deserves. We are, certainly as a government. Since last week's announcement on restrictions, 12 fines have been issued. It's certainly my hope that every single one of those is fully prosecuted and collected. It's just too serious of a situation right now.
So to support them, all we ask you to do, no human activity in the woods, please. C'est tout pour moi. That's it for me. Thank you very much, Premier.
And I want to reassure folks that our entire team in the Department of Natural Resources and Public Safety, firefighters on the ground, people working in our emergency measures operations command centers that the ministers and I visited today to drop off veggies and fruits and say thank you and keep going. We are doing everything possible to protect you and your communities and our forests.
Credit due to the first line responders for sure, but also Susan Holt and her ministers. They're dropping off fruits and veggies. They're doing everything they possibly can. This whole thing seems like a joke.
So this is an official announcement from Nova Scotia, August 5th, 2025, news release, travel, activities in woods restricted to prevent wildfires, with this very helpful graphic. I'll just make it bigger. Stay out of the woods. The province is restricting travel and activities in the woods because continued hot, dry conditions have greatly increased the risk of wildfires. The restrictions effective as of 4 p.m. today, August 5th, include hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted. Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed only in campgrounds. These and other measures are in place on provincial ground, on provincial crown and private land until October 15th, or until conditions allow them to be lifted. The fine for violating the restrictions is $25,000.
Last week's announcement on restrictions, 12 fines have been issued. It's certainly my hope that every single one of those is fully prosecuted and collected.
New Brunswick made a similar announcement on August, this says August 9th, but the announcement was official as of August 10th. Stay out of the woods. New Brunswick closing crown lands due to extreme wildfire hazard. Those living in and visiting New Brunswick are being told to stay off crown lands due to an extreme wildfire. I can't read today. Due to an extreme wildfire hazard. On Saturday, the province announced as of 12 a.m. Sunday, August 10th, all crown lands will be closed. This means, just like in Nova Scotia, hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted. Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed only in campgrounds, but the public is being asked to consider their camping plans until such time the forest risk decreases. This is an unprecedented situation and it is getting worse, said Premier Susan Holt. So we're here on a Saturday afternoon to ask all New Brunswickers to get out of the woods, and to stay out of the woods. It raises questions of what public lands means, right? Crown lands is different in Canada. I don't know as much about what that means, that these are crown lands as opposed to what would be public lands in the US. A few other provinces in Canada did not declare being in the woods off limits, but imposed fines for setting fires. Fines for setting fires.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like...
You mean setting fires like controlled fires?
Controlled fires, any kind of fires.
Yeah.
And this seems like a reasonable measure to me. It's not that the objection that I'm having, and I know that you have had, to what is going on in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, is to the idea of any restrictions at all. But the idea that you can't walk in the woods and that is being considered now a privilege and a luxury, and that you just have to sit on your hands and put up with it until the people who have made the decision decide that the risk is gone, feels very much like what happened during COVID. Very, they can point to hot conditions, dry conditions, fires that they've already had to put out. And so it doesn't seem arbitrary at one level, but the moment at which they impose such draconian measures is somewhat arbitrary. And the fact that they feel that they can, and that they should, and that they did, is extraordinarily terrifying, I would say, to those living in the places where you are now being told you just can't go into the places that you thought were public. What does public mean?
Yeah, when I saw the initial announcement, and I almost wish we had the initial announcement.
This is the initial announcement.
Everything is dry. Everything is incredibly dry around our province right now. Lakes are down, ponds are down, rivers are down, streams are dry. People who actually regularly spend time in the woods are avoiding the woods. Forest contractors are voluntarily pausing their operations because it's just too dry. And they don't want to be the person or the company that accidentally causes a fire. And fires can start in so many ways. But I think the message for Nova Scotians, and there'll be lots of time to kind of go back and look at how individual fires started and take whatever actions might be necessary at that time based on that research and investigation. Right now, we're just trying to keep people safe. But the message for Nova Scotians is fires can start accidentally. They can start, just by the most innocuous way because it's so dry. It could be a broken glass, a broken bottle that's been in the woods for 15 years or something, but somehow the sun hits it at a certain direction and acts as a little magnifier and creates a fire. So, many of these are accidental, certainly not malicious, but they will be investigated. But I think it's just really, really dry. And, people who are in Nova Scotia certainly know, just walking across the yard right now, you can hear it crunch below your feet. That's a person's yard. So imagine out in the woods what it's like. So the conditions are extremely dangerous right now. So this is why we want to restrict activity in the woods. This is why we don't want people just out for a hike, spending time in the woods, because they could do something accidentally. But more importantly than that, they could find themselves surrounded by a fire, and then we're trying to find them and save them with resources that could be otherwise fighting the fire. So just stay away from the woods. Be smart. Understand how serious the situation is, and just be a good person.
The demeanor of the guy who is announcing this, I found even more alarming. The sort of sense of superiority, and that he is on the side of right, and that it is all of the little people who can't manage not to start fires that need to be controlled in the most draconian way.
Yep.
It reminded me actually of the, I forget who the vile local government guy was in during the pandemic, who was telling people how miserable he was going to make their lives if they didn't get the vaccine. But it had that kind of feel to it.
To the reckless and selfish, I am talking to you. A group gathering in a house, unnecessary trips outside, blatant disregard, the virus will find you. Then it finds your loved ones, and then it finds your neighborhoods, and then we have community spread. When all we have to do is stay the blazes home.
Yep. And, you know, who knows what these things are? There's a, you know, kind of person who delights in controlling others, and it may be, you know, that petty bureaucrats have discovered that they have the power, you know, to wield this kind of authority and affect people's behavior. But I like you know, you and I suffer many years from smoke from fires, sometimes in Canada, that degrades the quality of life, and I would like to see that ended. But the idea that the place to end it is by telling you not to go into the woods and fining you if you do is preposterous. I'm not against the idea that if you are careless and it starts a fire, that the massive cost of fighting that fire partially belongs to you, right? I'm not against the idea of penalizing the actual behavior that we all suffer from, which is carelessness with fire. But the idea that walking in the woods, you know, well, if you're going to be walking in the woods, we can't stop you from starting fires. This is nonsense. Punish the behavior that's actually wrong. You have no right to stop people from walking on public lands. This is effectively a God-given right. And there is a question as to whether or not we are being tested to see what we will put up with. The claim that
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, the claim that this is an unprecedented circumstance, and that's why you're hearing unprecedented regulations. Bullshit. It's not unprecedented. Bad seasons, dry seasons, that's a feature of life.
Out of an abundance of caution, they're shutting down all of your access to walking.
Right, which, you know, is I mean, it's an obvious sign that something is tyrannical and out of control. And, you know, it does just feel shockingly reminiscent of the terrible COVID years and those exact things at the moment when, you know, a virus that wasn't capable of being transmitted outdoors was the reason for all of these regulations were being, you know, the trails are being closed, the beaches are being closed, exactly the place where you should be, the place where you'd be making vitamin D. So, yeah, it's remarkable, and I think it means something.
Yes.
Problem is we don't know what it means. I don't even have the sense that the people who are doing it know what it means. It could be local pettiness. It could be something larger, but we are obligated to reject this and to defend those who do.
Yes.
That's it, gang. So we'll wrap up right there. Aaron, Kennedy, and Looney, thank you very much for watching. Like, we're trying to show Canadians what I'm learning and what I base my opinions on. Most of the time, we cover Parliament. But when they're not in session, what are you going to do? We cover the news. That's it. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you'd like to learn more about Canadian federal politics, hit that subscribe, get notified. We do live shows, especially when everything is in session. Anyhow, Aaron, Kennedy, and Looney, thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, you're spending more money on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined.
How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein? More than just elbows.
These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values.
Anyhow, what are you going to do? Trying to keep you informed. Aaron, Kennedy, and Looney trying to hit 30,000 subs. Help me get there. Thank you for watching this video. We'll catch you in the next one. Later, gang.